Hey guys, this is Halbuska and welcome back to another YouTube video. And today we're going to be doing another top 10 songs video. I'm back doing these again. I know I said in the previous video I was back from a hiatus, and hopefully I'll be back doing more videos, although I'm probably going to be busy in the next coming weeks. But we're doing another top 10 songs video, and this is in light of the death of Charlie Watts from the Rolling Stones, who passed away earlier this week at the age of 80. And this is what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be doing top 10 songs for the Rolling Stones. And so in other top 10 songs videos, I talk about how, well, I didn't do a lot. I only did a couple, like four, I think. And there were some lists that I did that were pretty difficult. There were some that were easy. This was by far the most difficult list that I've had to do. And I don't know if that'll change, it might, but this list was excruciatingly painful because when I did the Beatles one, I explained, and I explained it in other videos and I'll explain it again here. I said that it wasn't terribly difficult for me because I have clear select favorite songs of mine from the Beatles because I've been following them for a long time. I've been following the Stones for probably around that same amount of time. I apparently don't have clear select favorite. Well, I've always had favorite songs, but this list was just really painful to do. And if you ask me in a couple days, this list may even change. And this list was really difficult, and yeah, this may change in the future, but it was all really difficult. So I'm going to give you guys my 10 favorite tracks from one of the most iconic bands of all time, the Rolling Stones. And this list is going to be mainly based around the Mick Taylor years because, in my opinion, that was when the Stones, and they were really good in the 60s. Throughout the 60s, they were really good. But for me, they got just exceptionally well when Mick Taylor joined, from Let It Bleed, well, from their Satanic Majesty's Request, that's a really good album, and all the way till, well, pretty much even up to now, they've been releasing a lot of really strong albums, but specifically from that album all the way to, I'd say maybe Tattoo You or Some Girls, one of those, that's really where they could do you no wrong. And they have a lot of great albums, and I have a boatload of honorable mentions that I won't waste. No, I won't waste any more time on, and I'm gonna try to make this video shorter. Although it's the Stones, because they're fantastic, and with the list of honorable mentions, I don't know, it may be long, but I'll try to go quick. So coming in at number 10, okay, right off the bat, I have to say this list was really difficult to do. That it caused me to have my top 10 as a tie. I'm sorry, I know it's a cop out, but I couldn't. There was one song there. Well, I had one song, one of these two songs in my top 10, and then there was another song that I really wanted to have in my top 10, and it was really painful at that point. And I was like, what song should I leave out, and what one should I have in my top 10? And I felt bad if I included one and discluded one or the other. I would feel really bad. So my number 10 is a tie from a song from Beggar's Banquet and a song from It's Only Rock and Roll, both great albums. And the song from Beggar's Banquet, one of their more popular songs, but I never get tired of it. My number 10 is a tie between Sympathy for the Devil from Beggar's Banquet and the title track to It's Only Rock and Roll. And the subtitle is But I Like It. First, I mean, Sympathy for the Devil is a legendary song. Everyone knows that song. You've all heard it. I love the drums in the beginning from Charlie Watts. It just explains how underrated he really was. And I love Mick Jagger's vocals on the track. And at the time, it was pretty controversial because a lot of people around that time were thinking Stone's writing about Satan. They were really worried, and they were really worried about that. And nonetheless, it's just a classic song, and it's just a timeless song that I really wanted to have in my. Well, it did make my top 10, along with the title track to It's Only Rock and Roll, which is another anthem. These two songs are pretty much anthems for the band, and It's Only Rock and Roll, But I Like It is just an iconic song. I love the lyrics on the track, and that happens to be the last album to have Mick Taylor on guitar before he left. And then Ronnie Wood joined the band. But yeah, I really couldn't help but include both of these songs in my top 10, so I'm including them as a tie. I know it's kind of cheating, but it's my list, so I can do what I want. And yeah, I know it's cheating, but hey, there are times where you have to make an exception, and this is definitely one of them. So coming in number 10 for me is a tie between Sympathy for the Devil off of Beggar's Banquet and the title track to It's Only Rock and Roll, but I like it. Coming in at number 9, I know a lot of people are pretty sick of hearing this song. You know, the Stones have a lot of radio hits. And not only do I love the radio hits, I love the stuff you don't hear, but this is a song this is one of their more popular songs. It's from Tattoo You, and I believe the anniversary edition is coming out in a month or two. My number 9 is Start Me Up. It's just an iconic song. I love the guitar riff from Keith in the beginning. It's iconic. It sounds like and I believe for a computer, it was well, I don't know if some people probably programmed it that way, but I think at the time, correct me if I'm wrong, there might have been a computer that had the startup to the startup of the computer was the guitar riff of Start Me Up. And I love the trickery of drums from Charlie Watts, where the snare drum is on the upbeat and then the bass drum is on the downbeat, and it would be different. I think it's like that, but it's different musical confusion. I've always loved it. And I love Mick's vocals, and to me, Mick Jagger is one of the ultimate frontmen to any band, and I love his vocals. I know, a lot of people are probably, well, not a lot of people, but there are probably some people that say, his vocals are different, but I've always really enjoyed his vocals, and as someone who's been a fan of this band for years, it's just, I've always been a huge fan of Mick Jagger's vocals, and Start Me Up, one of my favorite vocal performances from him. Although there's a lot of them. But coming in at number 9 for me is Start Me Up. Just a great song. I know it's kind of overplayed, but it's still a great song. So coming in at number 9 for me is Start Me Up off of Tattoo You. Coming in at number 8 off of Exile on Main Street. This is the only song from Exile on Main Street to make my top 10. However, I love that album a lot, and that's one of my favorite albums from them. And I know some people are, Exile on Main Street for most people is kind of divisive because you either really like it or you think it's a little self-indulgent and you think that it's one of their weaker albums. I love it. I love pretty much every song on the album. Well, if not almost, because I do love that album. And my number 8 is just an irresistible song, Tumbling Dice. That song is just really catchy, and I love everything about it. I love the guitar. I love the drums from Charlie. The bass from Bill Wyman is great. Bill Wyman, an underrated bassist. And I love Mick's vocals. And as I was saying with Start Me Up, Tumbling Dice is just really, really amazing. I love his vocal performance on that. I love the lyrics to the song. And I know a lot of the... I noticed that a lot of the songs on Exile on Main Street have, lyrical themes. And Tumbling Dice is just, I believe Tumbling Dice is a song about someone who has a gambling addiction. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but Tumbling Dice has always been a favorite of mine. It's always been a Stones classic, and I had to have it in my top 10. So coming in at number 8 for me is Tumbling Dice off of Exile on Main Street. Coming in at number 7 from Let It Bleed, easily my favorite Stones record. I would say I'd say Let It Bleed is my favorite Stones record, then Sticky Fingers would be next, and then Exile on Main Street. Those are probably my top 3, but this song is just, again, one of their more popular tunes and maybe overplayed, but I cannot get enough of the song, and in fact, part of me wanted to rank it a little higher, and it might in the future, but coming at number 7 for me is the closer from Let It Bleed, You Can't Always Get What You Want. It's just a classic song, regardless of whether you've heard it a million times. It's just, I love the choir in the beginning. I really like that, and I love the acoustic guitar from Keith. I love Mick's vocals. This is another favorite vocal performance of mine from Mick, and I love the organ on this track. I love Charlie's drumming on the song, great drumming, and Bill Wyman's bass is great. It's just a legendary song, and for some people, people probably would have said that You Can't Always Get What You Want was their take on Hey Jude by the Beatles in a way. And I can see that. I know I've heard some people say that, and I kind of agree with that. So coming at number 7 for me is "You Can't Always Get What You Want" from Let It Bleed, a classic song from a very great album, a classic album. Coming in at number 6. Okay, so these next three are actually early songs from them. And while I like the early part of their catalog, a lot of covers they did, but I prefer the later stuff. But I do like these three tracks are classics. They had to make it in the top 10. Coming in at number 6, this is off of the Aftermath album. I think, was it the US? Yeah, I think it was the US version of it, because the UK version of the album had Mother's Little Helper, which is another great song. And of course, you know what I'm talking about. My number 6, Paint It Black from Aftermath. I mean, I love the guitar riff in the beginning from Keith. I love Charlie's drumming on the track is fantastic. Great drumming from Charlie. I love the sitar from Brian Jones, because sitar's on the track. The lyrics are really cool, and I really love mixed vocals on the track also. It's just an iconic song, and I debated ranking that higher, to be honest, because that there have been times where that was my favorite Stones song from that part of their career. And I mean, it's just a classic song from start to finish. And yeah, it does get radio airplay, but it's still a classic song. So coming in number 6 for me is "Paint It Black" off of Aftermath, the U.S. edition of the album. All right, we're down to the top 5. Coming in at number 5 for me, this is a non-album single. This was a song that never appeared on any album. I don't know why. Well, it appeared on the Through the Past Darkly Volume 2. It was on that Greatest Hits album where the Stones are pressed to glass, and it's in an octagon. That album cover, you know what I'm talking about. My number 5 is "Jumpin' Jack Flash." How can you not love that song? It's one of their more iconic songs. I love the guitar throughout the song. I love the lyrics. I love mixed vocals. The drumming from Charlie is great. That's a fun song to play on drums also. And it's just a legendary song. I debated, like most of these tracks, I debated ranking this one higher, but it's just a classic song that I never get tired of. So coming in number 5 for me is "Jumpin' Jack Flash." Off of no album. It was a single. Well, I guess from the Through the Past Darkly album, the Greatest Hits compilation. So coming in number 5 for me is "Jumpin' Jack Flash" off of that Greatest Hits album. Coming in at number 4, probably their most popular song. Well, they have a lot of popular songs, obviously, but this one, this was probably their first big, like really big hit, and it's a legendary song. That "As a Fly Flies in My Face." Coming in at number 4 off of the Out of Our Heads album, a really strong album, probably out of their early albums before their Satanic Majesty's Request, probably their strongest album. Oh, well, Between the Buttons is really good, and so is December's Children and Everybody's. But my number 4, I Can't Get No Satisfaction. I mean, from that iconic guitar riff from the beginning. I mean, that's one of the songs that it's a song we've all heard a million times, but I never get tired of it, and that's surprising, because it's a song I probably should be tired of, but I'm not. I just love hearing that song. First of all, that guitar riff from Keith Richards, and I love the fuzz tone effects on that guitar. And originally that was going to be horns. If that was horns, I honestly don't know if it would be as iconic as the fuzz tone guitar, but this is just an iconic song. I love the vocals from Mick Jagger. I love Charlie Watts' drumming. The bass from Bill Wyman is really great. That's a standout on this track. I just love this song a lot. So coming in at number 4 for me is "I Can't Get No Satisfaction" from Out of Our Heads. Okay, so the top 3 are really, really close. There's nothing separating these 3, and they're from albums that I love a lot. And, I think my number 1's going to stay at my number 1 because it's just a classic. But I'll play it as it goes. So coming in at number 3 off of the Sticky Fingers album, a legendary album that turned 50 this year. Can you believe it? 50 years of Sticky Fingers. My number 3 is such a great song that I've always loved. My number 3 is "Bitch," and I'm not swearing. It's the name of the song, but you know what I'm saying. I try not to swear in my videos, as you know, but This is a song that is just fantastic. I love the guitar riff in the beginning. The da 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 da. It's great stuff. I love Charlie's drumming on the track. Mixed vocals are fantastic. I love that. And it opens side two of Sticky Fingers, a great song opening a great side. There are no bad songs off that album. That album's flawless. And Bitch is just such a fantastic song, and it had to make my top 10, and it sits at number 3 for today. So coming in at number 3 for me is Bitch from Sticky Fingers. Coming in at number 2 from the same album, the album opener, Brown Sugar. I cannot get enough of that, so I love that song. And yeah, that's a song you cannot get away with today, but nonetheless, forget the lyrics. The music is fantastic. I love the guitar riff from Keith in the beginning. It's kind of, for the longest time, I always thought it was a little similar to Start Me Up's opening guitar riff. They're both great, and I love mixed vocals on the track. And it's just a legendary song. Great guitar work throughout the entire song, and great bass from Bill Wyman as well, who I think is a really underrated Stone. He's the quiet Stone, and it's what most people would say. Well, him and Charlie, ironically, the rhythm section was really quiet. Coming in number 2 for me is Brown Sugar off of Sticky Fingers. And coming in at number 1, my top 3 are really intertwined. There's no separation between any of them. And my number 1 is a legendary song off of my favorite album, Let It Bleed. It opens that album, and again, it's one of the more played out songs, but it's still a classic. And it's played in every single Martin Scorsese film that's ever been made. And it's Gimme Shelter. I never get tired of Gimme Shelter. I think that's their, and one reason why my top 2 are close, they both open my 2 favorite Stones albums perfectly. I love Keith's guitar on the song. I love the guitar solos from Keith. And I love mixed vocals. The lyrics are really great. And Mary Clayton's appearance on that song where she belts it is fantastic. And she actually, her voice cracks in part of the song. And then you can hear someone on the track in the back just yell woo, because they were really pleased by her performance. And how can you not be pleased by Mary Clayton's performance? It's fantastic. And just the entire song in and of itself was great. I love Charlie's drum fills on the song, and his drums in general on the track are great. There's a reason why he was such a criminally underrated drummer, and he's, even though he passed away a couple days ago, he's still missed to this day. He was a fantastic drummer, in my opinion. So coming in number 1 for me is Gimme Shelter from Let It Bleed, my favorite Stones album, my favorite Stones song from my favorite Stones album. So here's my list. Again, I know I'm kind of cheating with the tie, but again, like I mentioned, there are times where you have to make exceptions. I have a lengthy list of honorable mentions, and I'll try, and the video, I'm surprised, hasn't gone long, probably until now, so I'll go quick with the honorable mentions. So I want to throw in some non-album singles real quick. 19th Nervous Breakdown, really wanted that in my top 10. And Honky Tonk Woman, you gotta love Honky Tonk Woman. I believe that was released the day after Brian Jones died, I'm pretty sure. So we got those out of the way. So with their early stuff, I like the early stuff. They're good for what they are, but honestly, probably my least favorite albums out of their entire catalog. And honestly, for a band that has a huge discography with around 25 to 30 albums, there aren't really any bad albums from them. And I think that their early part of their career is, just like with the Beatles, they both had similar starts to their early part of their career. I think the Stones' early part of their career is a little weaker than the Beatles, but there's still good stuff on here. And I'm including the U.S. albums, the U.S. editions for these because, they had albums in the U.K. and the U.S., and I know it's boggling to the mind for a lot of people, but hey, they did that stuff, and I'm going to go with these for the U.S. editions for these. So from their debut album, England's Newest Hitmakers, Not Fade Away is a great song. I love that. Route 66 and Carol is a legendary song for them. From 12 by 5, Time Is On My Side is a really great song. It's All Over Now. 2120 South Michigan Avenue and Susie Q is a really good song. I like Charlie's drums on that song. From the Rolling Stones now, I think out of the first three, that's probably my least favorite of them, and maybe my least favorite Stones album. It's good. Don't get me wrong, it's good, but and they have so many albums, and something has to be at the bottom, as I always say. Heart of Stone is a great song, and Little Red Rooster, easily my favorite, and probably my favorite song out of the first three albums, honestly. From Out of Our Heads, The Last Time is really great. I'm Alright is a great song. The Under Assistant West Coast Promotion Man, a long title, but a great song, and Play with Fire is great. From December's Children and Everybody. So this is where, well, I think Out of Our Heads is really strong. I think Out of Our Heads and on, this is where they started to get really good. So from December's Children and Everybody's, Get Off of My Cloud. I really want that in my top 10. That's a legendary song, and As Tears Go By is a fantastic song. From Aftermath, I included Mother's Little Helper, even though that's on the UK edition of Aftermath, but that's such a legendary song. I loved it. Under My Thumb is great, and Going Home is another favorite of mine. From Between the Buttons, their last early album, I think. Let's Spend the Night Together. How on the Ed Sullivan show, it was Let's Spend Some Time Together, and that really made Mick upset. And you can tell when he sings Let's Spend Some Time Together, he rolls his eyes because he's very upset about that. Yesterday's Papers, Ruby Tuesday is a great song. I wanted that in my top 10. And Miss Amanda Jones is great. From their Satanic Majesty's Request, this is where they started to really, really get strong. This is a very underrated album. I like this album a lot. Sing This All Together is great. Citadel is a really great song. In Another Land, 2000 Man is a legendary song. That song is Kiss did a cover of that. That's really good. Sing This All Together, See What Happens is a really good song. Sing This All Together, See What Happens in parentheses. The legendary She's a Rainbow, that's a classic song. The Lantern is great. Gomper is a great song. 2,000 Light Years from Home, probably my favorite song off that album. And On With the Show is great. The whole album from start to finish is great. From Beggar's Banquet, the last album with Brian Jones full on this album. I know he was on, I think, 2 tracks on Let It Bleed, maybe another one, but this is really his final album, his exit. So from Beggar's Banquet, No Expectations is great. Dear Doctor is a really great song. Parachute Woman, Jigsaw Puzzle, Street Fighting Man, I really wanted that in my top 10, that's legendary. Prodigal Son, Stray Cat Blues, Factory Girl, and Salt of the Earth. The whole album is great from start to finish. From Let It Bleed, I felt bad not including anything else from Let It Bleed because that's a great album. Love in Vain is fantastic. Country Honk. Country Honk's really a country version of Honky Tonk Woman, but I still like it. Live With Me is great. I really want that in my top 10. The title track, Let It Bleed, is fantastic. Midnight Rambler, but it would be better on the Get Your Yayas Out live album. I love the Midnight Rambler song. It's great. You Got the Silver is really great. And I love Monkey Man. I really wanted that in my top 10. From Sticky Fingers, I really wanted Sway in my top 10. I love that. Wild Horses is fantastic. I love Wild Horses. Can't You Hear Me Knocking is probably my number 10, my number 11, actually maybe number 12 because I put a tie for number 10. I love Can't You Hear Me Knocking. I love the guitar riff from Keith. I love the guitar solo from Mick Taylor, and Mick's vocals are great. I love Charlie's drums on the song. Bill Wyman's bass is great. Perfect song from start to finish. So I love Can't You Hear Me Knocking. You Gotta Move is great. I Got the Blues. Sister Morphine is great. I really wanted Dead Flowers in there as well. I love Dead Flowers. And the gorgeous Moonlight Mile to close the album is a great song. Sticky Fingers from top to bottom is classic. From Exile on Main Street, Rocks Off, a legendary song. Rip This Joint, another great song. Shake Your Hips, Casino Boogie. Sweet Virginia is really great. Torn and Frayed, Sweet Black Angel, Loving Cup, Happy. Easily, probably my favorite Keith Richards vocal song. I love that Happy. Turd on the Run, silly title, but a great song. Ventilator Blues, I Just Want to See His Face, that's another really good song. Let It Loose, All Down the Line is another classic. Stop Breaking Down, Shine a Light, and Soul Survivor. I include the entire album, but it's great nonetheless. From Goat's Head Soup, a really underrated album. Dancing with Mr. D, a legendary song. 100 Years Ago, I love Coming Down Again, another Keith Richards vocal. That's a great song. Do 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 Do, Heartbreaker is a really great song. I really wanted that in my top 10. Angie is legendary. That's outside of my top 10. Probably in the top 15. I love Angie. Silver Train is great. Hide Your Love is another favorite of mine. Winter, Can You Hear the Music? And Star Star is really great. I love that song. It's Only Rock and Roll, the last album with Keith, Mick Taylor on guitar. If You Can't Rock Me is great. I love their cover of Ain't Too Proud to Beg. That's a great cover. Till the Next Goodbye. Time Waits for No One is fantastic. I really wanted that in my top 10. It's a great deep cut. Luxury is great. Dance Little Sister. If You Really Want to Be My Friend. Short and Curly's and Fingerprint File is a great song. From Black and Blue, the first album with Ronnie Wood on guitar after Mick Taylor left. That's another really good album. Hot Stuff is really good. Hand of Fate, Fool to Cry, and Crazy Mama. That's a strong album also. From their big sellers, Some Girls. Some Girls is their biggest seller, I think. Well, it is. I felt bad not including anything from that because it's one of my favorite albums from them. You know, as divisive as it is with most fans, I love Miss You. I think that's a great disco song. When the Whip Comes Down, Just My Imagination Running Away with Me. The title track, Some Girls, is great. Lies, Faraway Eyes, Respectable, Before They Make Me Run. I love Beast of Burden. That's probably my favorite song off that album, along with the closer, Shattered. I love Shattered. I think Shattered is a great song. Some Girls from top to bottom is great, with that really iconic album cover. From Emotional Rescue. Emotional Rescue is an underrated and overlooked album because that's sandwiched between Some Girls and Tattoo You, and they're both big sellers for the band. And it's a really good album. Dance Part 1 is pretty good. The title track Emotional Rescue is really good, and She's So Cold is great. From Tattoo You, Hang Fire is really great. Slave, Little TNA, Black Limousine, Neighbors, Worried About You, Tops, Heaven, No Use in Crying, and Waiting on a Friend was in my top 10 and got booed out. I love Waiting on a Friend. From Undercover. Undercover's not really a successful album. It's good. I do like it. I love Undercover of the Night. That's a legendary song. And She Was Hot is a really good song, too. From Dirty Work. Dirty Work's also not really an acclaimed album. I do like it. It's not one of their better albums, but it's good. One Hit to the Body is great. I love Harlem Shuffle, and the title track Dirty Work is great. And from Steel Wheels, the last album with Bill Wyman on bass before he left. Honestly, I don't know why he left. He just left. He was the Quiet Stone, and I believe Ronnie Wood took over for bass as well as playing guitar. Sad, Sad, Sad is great. I love Mixed Emotions. Terrifying, Hold On to Your Hat, Hearts for Sale, Blinded by Love, Rockin' a Hard Place, Can't Be Seen, Almost Hear You Sigh. The whole album's great. Continental Drift, Break the Spell, and Slipping Away. Again, I know I mentioned the whole album. It's a great album. Another big seller for the band. From Voodoo Lounge. From this album and on, there are a lot of songs on these albums. And these albums are pretty good. From Voodoo Lounge, Love Is Strong, You Got Me Rocking. Blinded by Rainbows is really good. And Through is another great song. From Bridges to Babylon, that's probably my favorite out of the last 4 albums they released. Anybody Seen My Baby is a great song. I really love that. Saint of Me is really good. Might As Well Get Juiced. Thief in the Night, and How Can I Stop It? That's a really strong album from start to finish. From A Bigger Bang, their album in the 2000s. That's a good album. There are a lot of songs off that album. They're a really good album, though. Rough Justice is really good. I like that. Rain Fall Down. Streets of Love and Laugh I Nearly Died is a really good song. Another song that was not sung by Mick or Keith. I forgot the guy's name, but there's a song on this album called Infamy. I'm drawing a blank on what that guy's name is, but that's a good song, Infamy. And from their most recent album, I don't know if it's going to be their final album, but from their most recent album, Blue and Lonesome, covers album of blues songs, but it's still good. Just Your Fool is really good. The title track, Blue and Lonesome, is really good. Write 'Em On Down, and I Can't Quit You Baby is really good. That is my lengthy list of honorable mentions, and I went quick. This is going to be a shorter video compared to the other ones. And I will show my list one more time before I end the video. I hope I can upload more videos soon. I do have another top 10 songs video in mind, from a band that I love a lot, and from a member who passed away last month. And you probably know who that band is now that I gave it away. But I really love the Rolling Stones, and I really wanted to do this in memory of the late, great Charlie Watts. Still want to pay my respects. My condolences go out to Charlie's family through all this. They're going through a really tough time, and Charlie was one of my favorite drummers of all time. He was a really underrated drummer, and I posted a tribute video to him the day he died, which was a couple days ago. It was this week. So anyway, this is a shorter video compared to the other top 10 songs videos that I made. And also because the lengthy list of honorable mentions, I didn't want to go on too long, otherwise the video would probably be an hour. So anyway, that's all I really have to say. Hopefully I'll do another video of this. So in any case, please leave a like, comment if you want, view my videos, and of course subscribe, and ring the bell for daily notifications. Thanks for watching this video, guys. This has been Halbusko, signing off. Stay safe, take care.